Hello, everyone. My name is Yulia Smolin. I'm a conference coordinator, and I'll be moderating the second Dean's panel of the day. We'll begin with the deans and directors introducing themselves and their institutions. Ms. Wilson-Kleekamp, can you begin, please?
Yes, I'm Tracy Wilson-Kleekamp. I'm the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at the University of Missouri School of Medicine.
Dr. Richard Wiseman, I'm Associate Dean for Admissions, University of Miami Miller School of Medicine.
You guys could say something about your schools, too.
Yeah,
Give
say
about a
something
one-minute
about your
thing about your school.
Oh, something about our school. What's unique about our school is our curriculum, which is problem-based learning, which you do the first 2 years of your academic school year at our institution.
I guess the most unique thing about the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine is that right out our front door are 3 enormous hospitals, Jackson Memorial, the University of Miami Hospital, and Miami VA. And this allows us to do a lot of the teaching in the morning in the classroom, and then instead of doing small group, we'll take the students over to the hospital where they'll be assigned to one of the medical teams and actually do their small group as an interdisciplinary approach, taking care of patients. So they learn about the diseases in the morning and then actually go to the bedside to learn about the patients that have those diseases in the afternoon.
Good afternoon, or morning, sorry. My name's Tina Sams, and I am Assistant Director of Admissions on the Mesa, Arizona campus for A.T. Still University. We do have 2 campuses, one's in Missouri and then the one in Arizona. So we have 2 DO schools. One is called Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine in Missouri, and one is called the School of Osteopathic Medicine in Arizona. I'll be happy to answer any questions on behalf of that. Both schools. SOMA, the School of Osteopathic Medicine in Arizona, does have a unique curriculum, and the Kirksville campus is very traditional. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Moore. Just by way of total disclosure, I am not a DO, but I'm a PhD. So I don't know quite how that happened, but I'll take the degree as well as an honorary. I represent LECOM, Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. I'm the Vice President of Institutional Development and also the Director of Recruitment. LECOM is the largest medical college in the nation with 3 different campuses, one in Erie, Pennsylvania, one in Bradenton, Florida, and also one in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, which is near Pittsburgh. We strive at LECOM to hold the cost of medical education down. We have the 2nd lowest tuition among all private medical schools in the country, and there is no tuition increase for an out-of-state student. So consequently, 80% of our students come from out of state to attend LECOM. We're also proud of our level of education, and our board exam pass rates are among the top in the nation. And I'll have my table out there. You can come by and visit and ask me any questions you'd like. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here again. I'm Dr. Leon McDougall, Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion at The Ohio State University College of Medicine. And as I like to tell folks when I speak to them, the O in OSU stands for opportunity. In regards to admissions, about 50% of our students are from out of state. Many of them are from California. We have some fantastic initiatives such as the Success Program. So if anyone out there is interested in becoming an MD, PhD, this is a program specifically designed for undergraduates. So look on our website to get additional information. We have a number of post-baccalaureate programs. It's just a fantastic place to be, in addition to introducing our new Lead, Serve, and Inspire website, curriculum. So please look at our website for that, and thank you.
Good morning. Actually, it's afternoon my time. My name is Adrian Jones. I'm the Dean of Admissions for Loyola School of Medicine in Chicago. So this is the 3rd, I think, medical school from Chicago here, so we like to recruit in California. Loyola's mission is we treat the human spirit, which means that we try to create clinically trained, very strong students who take what they've been blessed with and go out and serve. And so we see medicine as the ultimate service. And as a part of our job is to help you become that. And so we attract students from all over the country. We're a private institution. And we get a lot of applications, but when we're mining applications, and hopefully we'll talk about that a little today, we're looking for students who have the ability to want to take their skills and give it back. And medicine is not something where you're getting a paycheck, it's something that they love, something that you want to do. And so our facilities are located just a little west of downtown Chicago. We're located right next to one of the largest VA hospitals, which is where the school was created. Our school is located just like Miami, right next to some wonderful, right next to the medical school. And as a result, we have very wonderful modern facilities that you can grow and train in. So we look for a lot of your questions. We look for you to come by our table a little bit later on and engage us in conversations. And if there's any questions you have for us, by all means.
Thank you. So this next question is for Ms. Wilson Kleekamp.
I have a hard name, I'm sorry.
Can you explain the difference between traditional and MMI interviews, and please give your view on them?
Well, we still do the traditional interview on our campus. I only know about MMIs from actually participating at Duke University this summer, and they did a demonstration for about an hour and a half with about 300 students on the MMI process, which is basically when you come for an MMI interview, you've made the threshold of what the institution is looking for in a candidate. So they're not looking at your file open again. But they do have some questions that they are going to put to you in about 7 or 8 stations. So at each station that you go to, you're posed with a question, and you're given so much time to answer it. And basically, you're evaluated on, I guess, the breadth of your response to the question. It's an opportunity for them to find out if you have cultural competency skills, if you are an ethical person, if you're a team player. So a variety of characteristics they're trying to determine from you from the answers that you give in that process. The traditional interview is we have 2 interviews. You'd have two different practitioners or a medical student that you would meet with, and they would ask you some questions about yourself and your interest in medical school and why, and do you know what you're getting into, et cetera. I think the multiple mini interview is interesting in that there's less opportunity for bias to be injected into the process because people can't look at your file and say, why did you get a C in this class? They're really more interested in have you really taken in something from the experiences that you've had, shadowing, volunteering, being a leader, and things like that. Was that sufficient?
Yes, thank you. Would any of the other directors or deans like to elaborate? All right then. This next question is for Dr. Wiseman. Will any particular extracurricular activities look better than others on a medical school application? If so, what are some examples?
Well, we love to have well-rounded students applying to the medical school. And one of the things that we look for are students that have accomplished amazing things in a whole array of different opportunities that would be available to them. Students that we've looked for in the past would include those that are in the arts and humanities, dancers, musicians, athletes, authors. In this past year, we've got 2 F-18 fighter pilots, we've got 2 Navy SEALs, individuals that have really, in addition to being smart and having gone through the pre-med pathway and taken MCATs, have done something else. And what we like about this is that it adds tremendously to the personality and the culture of the class to bring together a lot of people that, in addition to having academically qualified, have culturally qualified already to be in the medical school.
All right, thank you. Would anybody like to elaborate? This next question is for Ms. Sams. Can you give any advice for non-traditional students applying to your medical school?
Yes, I can. Several ways. One would be academically, how can you strengthen yourself? And then the other would be, like the gentleman said here, ways to strengthen your application to make you a well-rounded person. If you are non-traditional, it's kind of funny. I find that word very funny because people approach my table and tell me they're non-traditional, and I tell them they're actually traditional. I think the non-traditional student would be the ones coming right out of college, right out of undergrad. So if any of you are in that, what you call a non-traditional status, would be taking time off after you graduate your undergrad, go work for a while, and then come back. Some of you may have a non-science degree. I do recommend, in addition to the prerequisites, obviously, that you need to take, is take some more science courses than what's on the list of any school that you want to apply to. Reach out and take biochem, genetics, some other sciences that will really help strengthen your application. And if you can, try to go full-time. I understand some of you are working, and that's challenging if you have to work full-time, but at least 2 or 3 courses every term to try to reach as close to full-time as you can. For both of our campuses on Missouri and Arizona, and I probably speak on behalf of all the med schools actually, definitely volunteering, never give that up, and you just can never have enough volunteering, and definitely diversify those experiences. Just don't stick to one thing. I recommend reaching out and trying different areas, okay? So I think any of the med schools, if you want to come by our tables later and talk to us, we'll help you with that, but definitely get out and try new things, do different things, reach different communities, whether it's children or the elderly or anything like that. Definitely, and keep track. Don't forget what you've done, write it down, where you did it, and how many hours you did that, so that it's really easy for you to fill out the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sams. Dr. Moore, do you expect intuition for medical schools to rise like undergrad intuition?
Well, I would hope not, but reality is probably. I can speak to LECOM. Part of my introduction was about the cost of medical education. It is really prohibitive for a lot of students, and it also serves to exacerbate the problem of over-specialization. And the reason being, when you come out of medical school, if you've got $200,000, $300,000 of debt, and you look at your options, you really wanted to go into primary care as a specialty, and you look at the salary of a primary care or an average salary of a primary care physician, and you look at the debt burden that you have, and you also look at specializing with a higher salary, chances are you will, even though you want to be a primary care physician, you will choose to specialize simply out of financial necessity. Now, unfortunately, that's the case we have, and that's why there is a shortage, I think, one of the reasons why there is a shortage of primary care docs in the nation. Now, LECOM is addressing that by a couple of ways, and that is, again, our tuition is the second lowest tuition among all private medical schools in the country, and we try and hold that down as much as possible. This year, our tuition rose by 1.5%. You can look at other medical schools, it's all online. Most have raised their tuition by upwards of 10, 15%. Why is that? Well, LECOM is run by DOs. The CEO, the president, the vice president, dean, provost, most of the faculty are practicing DOs. They are in practice. They know what the profession is like. They've gone through what you're going through, pre-med student status. They've also gone through medical and school and come out the other side and seen what a hole it is to dig out of that much debt. And so in that way, we've helped keep the costs of medical education under control. But there's also another way, and that is we have 2 3-year programs at LECOM that saves a year of tuition and a year of living expenses. They are intense and intensive. But one is the primary care scholars pathway. If you know you want to be a primary care physician, you can take this 3-year pathway and graduate in 36 months rather than 48. If you're a certified PA, there's also a program for you, a 3-year program, again, saving a year of tuition and a year of living expenses. Something has got to give, and we're doing our best to try and address the situation nationwide.
I'd like to add to that also. At The Ohio State University, realizing this need to be able to support students, especially those wanting to serve the community and practice primary care, The Ohio State University and the state of Ohio has collaborated and obtained what's called a MedTap grant to support students who elect to go into primary care, and it involves receiving $30,000 per year for your third and fourth year for those students who agreed to serve in the state of Ohio for 3 years and do their residency in a primary care specialty. Also aligned with that, there's a Serve Ohio grant and scholarship available, again, with the state of Ohio and its leaders recognizing the importance of primary care, offering a similar scholarship for students who enter primary care. As far as the MedTap award, there were about 16 of those given out this past year. And then earlier I mentioned about the Success Program. Now the Success Program, you'll find that on the OSU, the Ohio State University College of Medicine website. That involves preparing undergrad students to be better prepared and competitive for MD, PhD programs. And many of you may or may not know that if you go to school, medical school as an MD, PhD program, guess how much it costs? Zero. So that's, and there's a higher percentage of students who go in and become MD, PhD graduates who also go on to become academic leaders and faculty at medical schools. And this conference is about diversity and excellence. And when you look at medical school faculty, that's an area of great importance. So strongly consider becoming a faculty, and that's just one of the ways to approach that. And because that diversity, as spoken to earlier by Dr. Eastman, really helps to drive excellence and innovation.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to elaborate? All right, this next question is for Dean Jones. Is it important to submit medical applications early on?
Yes. So, but the part of that process is that most students are, we want you to get your applications in at the beginning of June. Most applications need to be processed by AMCAS, which takes a little while. We don't start receiving your applications actually till the beginning of July. So they have some time in order to build those in. The first month, first 2 months, you're good. After that is when you start getting into the gray zone, because at the beginning of the season, we're looking for a lot of different things in applicants. And after you see a 33, 34 MCAT at the beginning of the year, a 32, 33 MCAT at the end of the year, just doesn't look the same when you've seen 2,000 or 3,000 of them. So you want to get yourself in early. And I find that students who do that give themselves a better opportunity to give themselves the best chance. At the end of the year, it's kind of tough. Some schools like Loyola has a rolling admissions process. What that means is we start interviewing in September and we don't finish until, we actually one of the later schools, we finish in March. And no matter what time of the year you interview at Loyola, you have an opportunity to be accepted. But those acceptances start to dwindle at the end of the year. And so we still have spots, but you actually have to stand out a little bit more than you would at the beginning of the year. So we encourage you to get it in early. And I think anybody on this panel would probably tell you earlier is better, but don't be that neurotic person that has to get it right in at that day. If you have a little bit of time, but make sure you get it in soon.
Thank you. This next question is for Ms. Wilson-Kleekamp.
Yes.
Is there anything a potential candidate can do to disqualify them from being accepted to your medical school?
Oh, there's lots of things. Are you talking about the application process or the interview process? When they come for a visit?
During the interview.
During the interview. So I know you guys have heard this a million times, but when you come for an interview and you're talking to the person at the desk who greets you, be really nice to them. Because they might actually pass on, man, that person was really rude. You don't want them to do that. The thing about the interview, I think sometimes students get really nervous and they're like rehearsing a script of things that they want to answer in an interview, and I don't think that that's very helpful for you. I think it's really important to be really comfortable with yourself at an interview. Admissions people can tell if you're trying to put them on. So I think that's one place where you can lose, is trying to fake them out. So I think it's good to be who you are and be comfortable and be as nice to everyone as if they're your grandmother or your mother or somebody like that you really respect. It's the way you would treat patients, and you shouldn't treat anybody else in that process any differently. I think that's pretty good advice.
Can I add to that? You never know when you're being interviewed. Every time someone comes up to my table, I'm interviewing them. And I kind of tell them my title after a while. But there was a couple of times where I've been at my institution, and one in particular where my staff was busy, and the phones were ringing, and every Thursday we have a status check, and so I picked up the phone, and there was a young man who wanted his status, and so I looked up his information, and I stood there for a little bit, and then so my next question to him was, why Loyola? Why are you applying to my school? And the student looked at me, and he was, well, I'm not sure. I said, you don't know why you're applying to my school? Well, I haven't looked at your website in a long time. Oh, really? And then I dropped a little bomb that I was the dean of admissions for the medical school, and I was interviewing him. And there was a dead silence. So I said, we'll get back to you. So I hung the phone up, and not more than a minute later, another young lady called, and go through the same process. We looked at her application. She had been reviewed, and she was in a status where there's a possibility for an interview, but I wasn't sure. So I said, why are you interested in Loyola? And she gave me this really nice, long, elaborate answer of why she was interested, how she saw it was a good fit. So I said, you know what, let's just take a chance. So the committee brought her in. She's interviewed, and now she's a part of our third-year class. Now, I'm not saying that happens all the time, so don't call our school wondering whether or not you're going to get me on the phone.
You probably won't get him on the phone.
Yeah, but the message is that you never know when you may meet somebody who can have an impact on your career, and you just need to be able to be prepared and ready at all times, because I think a part of the process is, I ask students all the time, why medicine? And sometimes they can't even answer that question. It's a general question. And we ask you all the time, why are you interested in this? And so when you come to my table, be prepared to answer that question, because that's a part of it, of why you want to do this. And if you don't know how to answer it when you're in this context, how can you do it on paper and those other things? So again, you never know when you're being interviewed or when somebody's looking at you, so always be prepared. Leah?
I'd like to give another example. Now, this is hot off the press. So this just happened on this past Wednesday during our admissions committee meeting. So student excellent metrics, like 3.8 GPA, 34 on the MCAT. However, when reading through his letters of recommendation, one of the professors that had worked with him extensively stated that he had difficulty working in teams, and really wrote about several sentences speaking to this fact. So now, when we talk about diversity and driving institutional excellence, one of the most important attributes one can have in regards to coming to a health profession's career is to be able to work as a team member. So that person with a 34 MCAT, 3.8 GPA from a prestigious school, he is not going to get into the Ohio State University College of Medicine. So when you're an undergrad and you're working in these labs and interfacing with your professors and so forth, if you're not displaying the willingness and the ability to work as a team, that goes into play in regards to interprofessional education. You're going to be educated with nurses, pharmacists, and so forth. So that will disqualify you if we know about it. So it didn't necessarily disqualify him, but his rating in regards to comparing with other students who had interviewed is really, he's going to be low on the list in regards to people being considered for admission. So it's fair to say that he will not be coming to the Ohio State University College of Medicine. So I just wanted to add.
In other words, be perfect at all times.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I understand.
Being being able to, okay, we're missing a point. I just want to
Can I?
reiterate here.
I'd like to.
Being able to work in a team and work with others, that's the big point there.
I'd like to just elaborate a tiny bit. If you come to my table, I'll often ask you how many worlds can you walk in. And so you, as a physician, have to be able to get into other worlds. So you need to look at your personal toolbox and say, how many places can I get? I'm from New Mexico. Obviously, I'm black. I speak a little Spanish. I can walk in 3 worlds. I probably can fake it in 3 others. But I'm used to getting in other worlds with grace. And so the idea is that whether you're interviewing or talking to somebody, you need to be able to walk in the world. And if you don't have the ability to do that, and that includes being a team player or anything like that, it really limits your possibilities.
Would anyone else like to add? All right, well, this is all the time that we have for the panel. Can we give a round of applause for our deans and directors?
That went fast. That was